Hey everyone. Okay, so today we're going to address some of the problems that and the questions that people have been coming up with when it comes to levering. Okay, now we used to talk about the pelvic tilt. All right, and it was this action where you would actually drop the hips and then you would go a little bit forward. And this was because we used to talk about the pelvic tilt because this was the point where we were getting leverage at. All right. So now we're getting leverage from the heel. So really there is no more pelvic tilt. There is though a pelvic tuck. A tuck, right? So the hips, here, come over here, Alex. You see the hips are shaped like this. So they're kind of shaped like two big bowls, right? And if you look at the scapula up here, the shoulder back here, it's also shaped like a big bowl. So that's like the shoulder and the hips are very similar, and they rotate in a lot of the same ways. But this hip action, but now come over here. Now watch. If Tanya goes like this, like the hip is shaped normally like this. Okay, so keep your arms straight like this. Yeah, and they're shaped like this. Okay, and you're gonna hook. So you see it on the over there. So now if I put my hand here like this and you hold it, hold the shape. Okay, and I start to put force straight down, it feels difficult. It feels uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm putting more force, and she doesn't like this feeling. But if she tucks the pelvis like this and makes it like directly underneath like a bowl, then when I put my hand here and I start to pull down, see, does it feel better? Mm-hmm. Right? Because now the hips are actually supporting by going like this. So this is called I call it a pelvic tuck. So you tuck your hips. The whole goal is to keep a straight spine. So when you do this, you want to stand up straight without locking your knees, right? We already know this, right? Then to get the spine straight, all I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck my hips like this. And when I tuck my hips like this, now you see I'm not moving my knee point. I'm not going like this to tuck. I'm keeping my leg position the same. So all I'm doing is tucking my hips like this. And when I tuck my hips, you now notice that my hip is straight, okay? And your butt is going to kind of get flat here, right? And so now I have a straight spine, right? Without having to do this, right? So you just tuck. So the only thing moving is my hips. Once they go like this, now my upper body mass is pushing down like this into the hips. And my hips, because they're shaped like this now, they can carry the weight, right? It's very easy for the hips to carry the weight now, right? And now I can relax, right? So don't think of it as pelvic tilt anymore. It's a pelvic tuck. So now we're getting leverage from the heel. So really, it's a heel tuck or heel tilt now, because we're replacing the tilt of the hips to the tilt of the heels. Okay, so now we're talking about leverage. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is face Tanya square, and I want to get the pelvic tuck and straight spine, and my knees pinched, holding the ball, and then I relax the brakes on my knees a little bit, and I allow all the force now to go from my upper body. It hits the hip, and then the hip connects to the bone of the leg, and then the leg will start to push all the force all the way down to the heel. So you make like one column or one pillar on each side of your body now, right? Now from here, Tanya is going to put her hand here, and she's going to give me just a few ounces of pressure, right? And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to get leverage from the shoulder where she's actually touching me. So I go like this, but you feel like I'm leaning, right? So this is not a good place. This is like actually from here to here, how long is that lever? It's not very long, so this is really inefficient, right? So then she goes to the hip. This is the old method. So now from here, when I do this, I'm going to push the hips in to get leverage. So I go like this. So it works, but if she lets go, then we feel like we're off balance. So this is no good because it moves our center of balance towards our toes. This is no good. Then if you go to the knees, you can do the same thing, but when I go from the knees to lever, right, it feels better, right? It feels better, right? But what happens is that, one, I'm going to feel slightly off balance, but really what's going to happen is that there's going to be so much pressure coming down to the knees, especially when she starts giving me more and more force, that your knees have to take up a lot of the brunt of the work, which can be very painful for your knees, right? So now if I straighten up and she touches, and now I do leverage from the heels to get this, to get leverage from wherever she touches me. So I'm going to get leverage from the heels. Now, you notice it's like a bow. Think of it like a kind of a bow and arrow, right? So this point here, where she's touching my shoulder, and the point of my heel, at the heel, these 2 points are not going to move, right? But what's going to happen is I'm going to tilt my hips, or not my hips, I'm going to tilt my heels, and by doing that, it's going to push my hips forward just a little bit. But I don't want the shoulders to go backwards when I do this. And I don't want them to go forward when I do this, right? I want this point and the heel point to remain the same position. I don't want them to move. So now I'm just going to lever from the heels, and I'm going to maintain this point. So now what's happening is, see, this is me and this is Tanya here. I'm not trying to go like this and lever and try to push Tanya away like this by pushing my shoulder forward. And I definitely don't want to go like this and lean away like this with my shoulder. She's going to push. What I'm doing is, from here, I'm just from the heel, the shoulder is not moving, but it's getting under her like this. See? But the point here, where we're contacting, doesn't change. You understand? It stays constant. So she's here. I ignore this point. I just keep it, and now I go from the heel, and I lever or tilt from the heels, and I come, and you're gonna feel you get it's going to travel all the way up. Now watch. The reason why this action, I call this the domino effect. So if you ever play with dominoes, you put one in front of another, right? You push one, and it sets off a chain reaction all the way down, right? Okay? So, if Tanya puts her hand on the hip to test me, and I go like this, and I lever from the heels, right? But I stop the domino effect, the domino effect, and I stop it to here, watch. You feel that? Mm-hmm. You can feel this, right? But now, let go. I'm not gonna move, now push my shoulder. You see? So I feel strong here, but I don't feel strong here. That's because the domino effect only stopped here. See? Now, touch here. Now I'm going to domino all the way up to my shoulder point without moving my shoulder point. So I'm going to rotate I'm going to tilt my heels at the center of the heel, right? Not the back of the heel. I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to bow my body, and then, see, I haven't moved, but I'm going to make the effect travel all the way up to the shoulders. Now, do you feel power here? Now touch up here. Do you feel power up here? See? So I allowed it to go all the way up. The domino effect went all the way up. And you see how my hips are a little bit bowed to forward, right? And this is correct. But you don't see as me going like this, leading with the hip. This is wrong now. This is too much, right? This bow action only happens as a result of the action of the heels, right? You get it? So I want you guys to practice. One, touch the hips, and then go from the heel lever, right? And try to go all the way up to the shoulder point. So you're going to go like this, make it travel all the way up to the shoulder, and then have them lightly feel the shoulder. If they can feel the heel from a light touch of the shoulder, can you feel my heels? Then this is correct. And again, she's only using a light touch, right? Then you can go from the shoulders. You can touch her shoulders very lightly, both sides. And then you're going to do the same thing to test. So from here, I'm going to lever from the heels, come all the way up to my shoulders, and then she should feel the action. She should feel the domino effect, all the way up. Mm-hmm. You feel it? Yeah. Okay. Again, make sure when you do this, you don't bend the knees, you don't bend the hip, right? Everything is created off the lever of the heels. and do not move the shoulder point. Do not move it forward, and do not move it back. Keep it there, and just let it rotate under, just like exactly like your hips are doing. Your hips are rotating under, and your shoulders are rotating under, but they're not moving. They're maintaining that point. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So practice, and we'll continue with the next lesson, which should be, I think maybe weight distribution. All right. Thank you.